When it comes to being American, there's three things that really sum it up: baseball, apple pie, and Evel Knievel. Growing up in the 70s, especially as a boy, there was no way you didn't love and want to be Evel Knievel. This was a real-life stuntman. No wires needed. No CGI. Evel Knievel was the real thing. He was so cool that George Hamilton would play him in a movie in 1971. And then in 1977, Evel Knievel would star in his own Evel Knievel movie called Viva Knievel. And as we all know, he even had his own successful toy line released by Ideal Toy Company. And although he didn't always make the jumps, he always did try. When it comes to the list of American folk heroes, Evel Knievel has to be at the very top. And as every young boy in America was trying to impress the neighborhood girl by jumping ramps made of plywood on the bicycle in the street, they were also going home to play with their Evel Knievel toys. But what about those poor children in other countries that didn't have a living folk hero in the 70s, and one that had a jumpsuit that just screamed America? What about those kids down in Mexico? Who could they look up to? Were they playing with Evel Knievel toys? Was Ideal even making toys down there? No, they wasn't. They didn't know what Evel Knievel was. If you asked a Mexican in the 70s what Evel Knievel was, he'll probably tell you that's what the Americans get when they come down and drink the water. So the kids down in Mexico didn't have an Evel Knievel to play with. What did they have to play with? Well, the next best thing. Roy Dynamite. Or maybe it's Roy Damo. But I'm sure I'm going to say that wrong, so I'm just going to say Roy Dynamite, because that's what it translates to here in America. Although it should translate to Evel Knievel, because that's what these are. Evel Knievel toys. Now, how many of these did they make? Did they recapture the whole Ideal line? I'm not really sure. Little information is known about this line. I could only find 2 times that this was used, and one I couldn't even find the box for. As you can tell, they're just the Ideal toys redone for the Mexican toy buyer. Let's take a look at the Roy Dynamite dragster. As you can see here, it's the same mold and, yes, believe it or not, the same figure inside. Now, of course, this is a loose dragster and it looks like it's missing the stickers. And sadly, I can find no photos of what this thing looked like fresh out of the box. But I'm guessing the stickers are probably about the same. And the one I did find in the box is also based on the Ideal toy, the stunt car. And as you can see, the box is almost identical to the US release. But of course, one says Evel Knievel and the other one says Roy Dynamite. At least that's how I'm translating it. And of course, like the dragster, the stunt crash car also has the same mold. And it's basically the same thing. Let's take a close look at Evel Knievel and Roy Dynamite. As you can see, there's a little difference here, but nothing major. They're both that really rubber-like figure. That way they can bounce around when they have a wreck. Now, I couldn't find if they made Roy Dynamite on the stunt cycle, which is surprising because that's the most successful toy in the line. I mean, that's an iconic toy of the 70s. So it would be strange they made the dragster and they made the stunt cycle, but didn't make the most popular one of them all? Or maybe Ideal just didn't want to let that mold go. Who knows? But did you even know about Roy Dynamite, the fictional hero stuntman for the Mexican kids that wanted a real-life stuntman like Evel Knievel? Well, I want to thank you for watching. As always, I'm going to like my content. Subscribe to the channel. Talk again soon.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.